In a week, already buzzing with playoff tension and off-season speculation, sports fans were hit with a trifecta of takes that shook the NBA landscape. From Ric Bucher's bold LeBron James prediction to a heated JJ Redick Luka Dončić controversy. And finally, the surprising step-down of the legendary Gregg Popovich. This was one of those episodes of Speak that felt more like a script from a basketball movie than a roundtable discussion. Let's break it all down. LeBron James' big market or bust? Ric Bucher didn't just toss out a take, he detonated one. On the heels of yet another frustrating Lakers playoff exit, Bucher floated an idea that sounded equal parts wild and wheedily logical. LeBron James should leave the Los Angeles Lakers for either the New York Knicks or the Dallas Mavericks. Now, this wasn't just some what-if banter. Bucher made a case built on competitive urgency and legacy awareness. According to him, LeBron has to do something bold to rewrite the final chapter of his legendary career. "I want LeBron to leave," Bucher declared, "and not just to anywhere. Go to the Knicks or the Mavericks." Let's unpack that. Why the Knicks? Because Madison Square Garden is still the mecca of basketball, and the Knicks, now surging under Jalen Brunson's leadership, have become relevant again. Add LeBron to that mix, and you've got Hollywood lights on Broadway. The potential pairing could create an East Coast juggernaut overnight. LeBron in the Garden chasing one last ring. That's the kind of script that cements a legacy forever. And the Mavericks. This is where things get even spicier. A potential LeBron, Luka Dončić, Kyrie Irving trio is the kind of basketball fever dream fans barely allow themselves to imagine. Yes, there are logistical nightmares, salaries, egos, roles, but the narrative practically writes itself. LeBron playing with the next-generation superstar while reuniting with Kyrie in a high-octane Western Conference shootout. If Bron is chasing rings and redemption, this would be the most explosive bet he could place. Joy Taylor, though, wasn't buying it. "I just don't think that's happening," she said flatly, tapping into the more grounded truth of LeBron's reality. He's not going to New York, and he's not going to Dallas. Taylor's take was rooted in LeBron's deeper priorities. His family, his production company, and his desire to maybe, just maybe, share the court with his son Bronny in the future. Uprooting all that, in her eyes, wasn't feasible. But for Ric Bucher, that's the exact reason why LeBron should make a move. He needs to chase that fifth ring, Bucher argued. He's already the NBA's all-time leading scorer. But that number 5, that's the difference between immortality and GOAT contention. JJ Redick versus Luka Dončić. Paul George breaks it down. Just when things seemed to cool off, another fire sparked, this one courtesy of JJ Redick. Redick, now a rising voice in NBA media, made comments about Luka Dončić that rubbed some people the wrong way, particularly Paul George, who didn't shy away from sharing his view on Podcast P. The topic: JJ seemed to throw some shade Luka's way, implying he hasn't learned to play defense or prioritize team success. Paul George wasn't having it. "You gotta be careful when you criticize someone like Luka," he said. "He's doing everything out there. And people forget, defense isn't always effort. It's also about having the right pieces around you." George highlighted how Luka has often carried an enormous offensive burden, and expecting him to lock down defensively like a Kawhi or a Drew Holiday is unrealistic. He brought nuance to a conversation that often simplifies superstar responsibility. Redick, for his part, likely didn't mean to slight Luka, but in today's media ecosystem, subtle criticisms can spark firestorms. It opens up a broader debate. How do we assess young superstars who do almost everything but still have gaps? And more importantly, how do former players like JJ balance their new roles as media voices without stepping on the legacy of players still on the rise? Gregg Popovich, the end of an era. And then, as if the show hadn't already delivered enough shock, came the segment that felt like an emotional gut punch for any longtime NBA fan. Gregg Popovich stepping down. One of the greatest to ever coach the game, Popovich has been synonymous with the Spurs for nearly 3 decades. His system, his culture, and his player-first philosophy built a dynasty that won 5 championships and inspired countless copycats. Now, after mentoring a young roster featuring number 1 pick Victor Wembanyama, Pop has decided to hang it up, or at least step aside for now. Pop leaving is the end of an era, Emmanuel Acho stated solemnly. "We may never see another coach like him again. The way he connected with players, the consistency, the championships. It's unmatched. Joy Taylor echoed that sentiment, but saw it through a legacy lens. Pop didn't just win games. He built men. He buy.